Hello and welcome to the July newsletter for Piers, Ryman and Rafe Beckley. We've got so much happened in the last month, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But as those of you who have listened before know, if you're new, we always ask for suggestions if anybody would like anything read out. It has to be out of copyright, obviously, or we have to have the permission of the author. Keep suggestions coming in. If there is something you would like to hear me read, let me know. The first reading we're going to do today is for Greg Luterman. Greg is an author that we work with, writes incredible books. Do go and check Greg Luterman out on whatever platform you like. Greg's decided he'd like to hear Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. I always thought that Jabberwocky was a very big piece of work, but it's much shorter than I thought. Let's go. Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. More mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood awhile in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgy wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, O frabjous day! Callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. The second reading is a request from a fan, Vanya. She has requested The Tiger by William Blake. So, off we go. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer? What the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil? What dead grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? The third reading today is written by a chap called Angel. Angel came and lived with us here in France for 5 or 6 months, I think. We had loads of time to get to know each other. He's a really good friend. We bump into each other every now and again when he's driving a van through Europe. He always stops off and has a nice meal with us, and we have a couple of beers and chill out. He wrote something that he felt really resonated with him, and he really wanted to share it. I read it, and I felt the same thing too. So I'm going to read this by Angel. I just had this guy coming to chat with me at the gym. He said, If you wanted to get really, really strong, do you know what you need to do? Training to failure. Training to failure, I thought. But I feel I've been training to failure from even before I could recognize a pair of dumbbells. Being too impatient. Failure. Waiting too long. Failure. Trying too hard. Failure. Not trying hard enough. Failure. Not being aware of my limits. Clear failure. Committing too soon. Failure. Not committing enough. Failure. Never asking for help under any circumstances. Very big failure. Not allowing myself time to breathe. Massive failure. My routine is hard, and I'm still getting the grips of it. But there are still moments to enjoy. So many other challenges outside this space. Sometimes this bit is the hard one, sometimes is the easy, but I still want to come back and try again tomorrow. Besides, I feel that guy was actually right, and overcoming all these failures is what's making me really, really strong. I found that really interesting. I think it's very easy for us to meet failure and then give up, whereas really the success comes from overcoming failure. And when we meet a failure, we, rather than backing away and say, I can't do that, we continue to work until we can do that. And that's where strength comes from. It really resonated with me, and I felt that I would like to share it with all of you. So, last reminder, if you want anything read out, just hit reply to this email. That'll come straight to me, and we'll see if we can work it into the August newsletter. So, moving on from that section, now let's talk about what's been going on. Although this is the July newsletter, I do have to tidy up something from June, which was Shimmer. Those of you that were here last month knew that I was going to Shimmer. It was my first signing ever, and that was fascinating in itself. I'd never actually had to sign things for fans in front of me. I'd been asked to sign a couple of books by post before and had them posted out for CF White, but I'd never done it directly with fans, and it was fascinating. It was great fun. I'm definitely doing it again. I've already booked myself into Rare London 2027. For those of you that don't know the Rare events, romance, author and reader events, they're really fun. Loads and loads and loads of romance authors and a number of narrators will be there, and you can just grab a ticket, turn up, you can meet us, talk to us, not talk to us. There's usually all sorts of little goodie bags and fun to be had on the day. So I'm really, really looking forward to that next year. I'm already booked into that. The Shimmer experience that I had, initially the plan was I was going with CF White and I was going to sit at her table, help her, and if anyone wanted to perhaps talk to me, then I'd be there and I could talk about audiobooks. And then the night before, she sent me an email saying, there's a spare table. So suddenly I've got the opportunity to have a table. I've got no promotional materials. I've got nothing. I've got no plan. So I jump on the plane, get there, confirm I've actually got a table, and did what I could with what I had where I was. After this, I'll post a picture. I was sat next to the estimable or inestimable, I never remember which way round that is, Mr. Dan Calley, who is both an author and narrator. And Dan's got his life together, and his stand looked great. And there's a picture after this with what I managed to do with what I had where I was right next to him after this. It was pretty good, actually, considering I didn't have anything to start with. So next time I hope to be just a little bit more prepared than I was. Shimmer went really well. Met loads of fun people, had a great time, came home, and then we got started into July. So July's been pretty eventful. The small stuff, we did have 5 chickens. In the heat wave, sadly, we lost one of them. And one of the other 4 was an absolute bully. So we removed her and we took her to one of our friends who also has chickens. Now, the bully that we had got introduced to those chickens, and she then became lowest in the pecking order, and it sorted her out. She's fitted in with that bunch of chickens really well, and didn't with us. So we've 3 chickens now. We're going to carry on with 3 chickens for a while. That's enough eggs to fulfill our needs. But I mean, if the opportunity comes up, we may well get another 1 or 2 if they present themselves. Our friend who has chickens actually bought battery chickens that had been removed from use. So she rather than buying new chickens, she bought second-hand chickens, and I think that's wonderful. And they are doing very well. When she bought them, they were in a very, very sorry state, and their feathers are growing back now, and they're all very happy. And so chicken farming stuff is taking over quite a lot of our thinking time at the moment. They like tomatoes, they love strawberries, they're not allowed to have potato peelings. We don't really compost very much at all anymore because most of it goes to the chickens. So they get fresh food as well as chicken food. We clean them out once a week, keep everything nice and clean, and they've got a fly zapper in there for during the day, because obviously flies tend to gravitate towards their chicken coop that's secure within the egg extension, and that zaps the flies to keep them pretty comfortable. So that's where we're at with the chickens. We are getting solar. We've had a long conversation. We had a long conversation a long time ago with our Canadian guests who are living with us at the moment, and they suggested that really solar would be a good idea because we all work from home all day, and so all of our computers are on all day. We've got a southwest facing roof, which is almost exactly the right angle. So between us, we contrived a plan. They were kind enough to buy the kit, which is the kit itself. While it's expensive, it's about a couple of grand to generate 3 kilowatt crets or 3 kilowatt towers. I think that's how it translates. We managed to get that, all of that, and all of the cabling, and and the switch, the trip switch to protect the system, for about €2,000. When you get a firm to come and do it, it costs around the €14,000 mark at the moment. It does mean we've got to fit it ourselves, which meant that our roof, which was very broken at the front, needed fixing before we could put the panels up ourselves, which we're doing the weekend after next. So I had to learn roofing, and it's all right. Last year I did some at the very top of the house out of a cherry picker, but I was tied off to something. This time I was lower down, so I was re-roofing, retiling, uh, not secured to anything. So I had to be really, really careful. It's a fairly simple tiling system here, or certainly the system that they used on our house. It uses a crochet, which is just like a hook, and when you're laying the roof, you slide the bottom of the tile into the crochet, and then you move up over it so it overlaps like fish scales. Trouble was, it was patches that needed doing, so I was having to essentially MacGyver the whole thing half the time, but we got it done. It works. It's watertight. I never thought that was a skill that I'd have to learn, but yeah, I can now do really basic roofing repairs. We've got a load of roofing out the back. Hopefully when this heat wave ends, I'll get out the back and fix that piece of roofing. That's a bit of a bigger job, but the tiles are smaller and it should be a little bit easier. So while I'm not looking forward to it because it's quite stressful, trying not to fall off stuff, it's got to be done. So I'll have to set my shoulders back and make it so. that only leaves us with the really big news. And the really big news, which is going to be village talk for decades to come, because we live in such a tiny village. There's a guy that lives right in the middle of the village itself, and he is a car breaker and car repairer. He's a mechanic of sorts. And the pile of cars over the last few years has been piling up and piling up and piling up. And some of the neighbours have complained to the mayor over the years, and the mayor has pushed it up the chain, complained to the prefecture. It's not legal here to have any kind of industrial business in a village centre. It would have to be in a designated zone outside of a village or town. So the chap's breaking the law, the cars are piling up behind, then there are a couple of boats, there's all sorts of everything, and we're right in the middle of the sécheresse, the drying out of everything. Everything here at the moment is brown. It's all dying off because we've had no water and all this heat, like everyone has in various places in the world. Anyway, I'm coming back from my mate John's, driving towards our village, and I can see a big column of black smoke rising up. And usually that means that a farm vehicle has gone up. Quite often you get field fires here, where a piece of machinery will clip a piece of flint or something like that, and a spark will take light, and sometimes they can put the vehicle out, sometimes the vehicle catches fire and the field catches fire. It's not uncommon, put it that way, it's not uncommon. But as I'm driving for nearer and nearer towards where we live, I'm starting to think that looks really bad, and I might just have to take a detour to check what it is if I get close, if it's really close, because I might know the people and they might need a hand or something. And the closer I get to the village, the more I realise it's our village, and it's the centre of our village, and it's a column of thick black smoke. The kids are getting close to it. There are people looking. The police haven't arrived yet. The fire engines are just arriving. So I sort of park up quickly. The police arrive. The fire engines arrive. We ended up with, I think somebody said, 14 emergency vehicles. 3 of those were gendarmes, and 10 or 11 were fire service things. They're having to open all the fire hoses, tackle the fire from the village side, and then the wind started swirling and started pushing it towards the back of our house and a couple of the other houses, literally where we are. It was all getting a bit shaky, and then, of course, you've got cars with empty fuel tanks that still have vapour. He obviously had a lot of old gas bottles, so you start hearing explosions, and lots of them. The fire service and policemen managed to get all the children away from this massive fire, and I really do mean massive. I don't know if it won't be on Google Earth yet, but you can see it from the photos that were in the papers. It's a large amount of land. And they were really struggling to contain the fire. Really, really struggling. At which point, what sounded like a bomb went off. It was really scary, actually. Turned out to be his oxyacetylene setup for doing what you do with oxyacetylene torches. And afterwards, we went round after they'd got the fire out. It took them until 2 a.m. to finally finish putting the fire out. And Liz and I went round the back and had a look. And it had literally blown a whole building apart from the inside. We had a look at how close the fire came to some of the neighbours and to us. The firefighters were incredible. The firefighters around here are all volunteers because we don't have as many population. We have volunteer firefighters in various places. And this fire was so bad, they had to bring in firefighting equipment and firefighters from 3 other different regions, and one of the farmers had a big. They use them as liquid tanks to spread on the fields. He was constantly going back because the fire water pump things that they clamp their hoses onto weren't giving enough water. So this village guy's got his tractor with his great big canister's the wrong word, huge, great big tank that he's going off and refilling from another fire hydrant way down the road to bring up so they can dump all that on the fire as well. So, yeah, while all this is happening, and this is the thing that absolutely blows my mind, we've got a dozen, maybe 14 firefighters. We've got 3 sets of gendarmes and vehicles. The road has been closed. It's emergency vehicles only. Various villages, including me, are taking over traffic duties to stop and turn people round to free the gendarmes up so that they can do what they need to do and make sure the area's clear and support the firefighters. And then we found out 2 things. The first was that the fire was started by an 8-year-old child with a lighter playing with fire. And it turns out that's not the first time he's done it. They had a fire there 2 years ago that was contained very quickly, which I hadn't heard about. So there's a firebug in the house. And secondly, while the firefighters are fighting a fire and risking their lives, the family of the child that started the fire are sat out the front, I kid you not, drinking beer and having a barbecue. Absolutely speechless. I don't think he's going to be terribly popular. I don't think he's going to be around very long. I had a little look at some of the French laws, and probably I would be very surprised if he doesn't end up going to prison. Thankfully, if that does happen, the kids they're separated, so the kids would live with their mum. So there's not going to be any sort of family breakup or anything. But it was scary. It was really genuinely scary. And while I didn't do much like the rest of my neighbours, other than you stick your yellow jacket on and turn cars around and try and make it easier for the emergency services to do their job, one of the positive things that I think came from it was that the mayor put out a notice thanking everyone for helping and supporting, and that was one of the strengths of a small village. When something is needed, when something really important needs to happen, villagers just step out of their homes, stick their yellow jackets on, and try and aid in whatever way they can. So it's just, for me, while it's awful for the village, for me, it just validates one of the reasons that we chose to live in the way we live, very rurally, because everyone knows you and you know everyone. And when it really comes to it, everybody steps out of their house and does everything that they can to help, apart, obviously, from the family who set it up and then sat there and had a barbecue and some beers. I'm not going to lie, I hope prison happens. I think it's about time. But there you go. It's not for me to decide. The only other stuff going on is work. Had a fabulous weekend last weekend. It was our friend Helen's 60th, and the rosé flowed, and I was talking to everyone in my second language, and I wasn't thinking about my alignment or posture, and I wasn't thinking about how loud I was speaking, and so I lost my voice for a few days. Didn't lose it, but it went very gravelly and bad. So up until now, I've had to stay out of the booth and do other work. I had a load of admin to do and prepping for new books and things. So back in the booth on Monday, and we continue recording audiobooks. Don't forget, as we wrap this one up, that if there is anything you'd like to hear me read, then just hit reply to this email and I'll get your request. And as long as I can read it, I will. Also, at the end of this email, you'll see a link That's a link to sign up to the newsletter. If you know anyone, go tell your mum, go tell your nan, go tell your office co-workers who maybe enjoy the same kind of stuff. There'll be a link to sign up to this audiobook newsletter. If they want to, they can join in as well. The more, the merrier. I hope everyone has a great August, and I'll speak to you in a month. Take care, one and all.